There's no beginning, there is no end.
Hey, everybody, it's Laura Eisenhower. It's a full moon in Libra, and I thought it'd be really great to gather some amazing souls like the ones that I have with me here. We got Alex Landry, we've got Kara Mooney, and we've got Sean Stone. And these guys might be already familiar to you, but I'm going to give a little bit of an intro. But first off, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you, Laura. It's good to see you.
I know, it's been a while. I was on Buzzsaw, gosh, years ago. And we see each other here and there at events. Kara, we've known each other for many, many years. And Alex, I just get to know you more and more all the time. And I really appreciate all that you share. And I appreciate the three of you immensely. So I'm just going to share just a brief intro. And I'm going to start with Sean. And basically, Sean Stone has recently published the fairy tale Desiderata. Wow. Okay. Did I say that correct?
Desiderata, yeah, Desiderata.
Oh, wow, I can't wait to hear about that.
Desired and needed.
Wow, cool. As well as a book on the New World Order. He has directed the films Greystone Park, A Century of War, Hollywood, DC, and Metahuman with Deepak Chopra. He has hosted the interview program Buzzsaw, formerly on Gaia TV, as well as the RT News show Watching the Hawks. His YouTube page is Conscious Creators. And you can get his morning Meta Sean series on Patreon. And that's, yeah, super awesome. And I can't wait to hear about these books. And then Kara. Oh, hello, Kaya. How are you?
It's Kaya and it's Kara.
Yes, Kaya, meet Kara.
I've talked about it for a long time.
Hello. We're all on our beds in quarantine.
I know, I'm like so casual. It's just so funny. It took a lot for me to actually come out to the outside room outside of my bedroom, but I did it. But anyway,
it's like get these jammies, you know what I'm saying? I understand.
I don't even know what the heck this is, but anyway. So anyway, Kara Mooney, quantum healer. Kara Mooney is an intuitive empath. She has worked as a healer for over 18 years in several different modalities of energy medicine, such as theta healing, Reiki, and intuitive anatomy. She is passionate about helping people shift their beliefs that either sabotage or no longer serve their highest and best good. These days, she is focused on helping people prepare for the great awakening that we are experiencing right now. Kara is a nurturing and compassionate healer who creates a safe space when working with others. As an intuitive, she has the ability to recognize negative beliefs and programmings in the subconscious mind, as well as disease in the body. And Kara works from a space of heart consciousness and is genuinely committed to helping others heal. She helps you understand how to create your life so that you may live with true joy and fulfillment. And my gosh, she is totally the real deal. And then I'm going to share a little bit about Alex, and then I'd love to share about you, Kaya. So I've got information here on your web or on your Facebook page, but add anything that I have not mentioned, because I know with Facebook it's little kind of bullet points. So I'll just share that and then expand upon that in any way that you like. But real quick, Alex, let me find where Alex went as far as his bio. When I already know a lot, he's the Moringa man. He distributes this really, really powerful herb. And he's just a really brilliant mind. I did an interview with him not long ago about Coral Castle. You can join him on Patreon. He's a spaceship navigator, a remote viewer, founder of RVA, Remote Viewing Agency, and just is very just service-oriented, and everybody here is. And so Kaya, Danielle Leigh, is here with Sean, and she is founder and visionary in chief at Sacred Breath Academy. SEO, conscious marketing, creative ecosystems, logo birth, branding, design, film photography, and you can find out more. I would follow her on Facebook. She just, amazing stuff comes out of her and everybody who's with me today. So I'm just so excited. And there's a major theme with the moon in Libra, most especially the balancing of the masculine and feminine, sacred union, alchemical marriage, and the planet needs it so much right now and to be illuminated. But I just kind of want to go around to everybody and just kind of ask how you're doing, what thoughts are coming in, how you're sort of handling these times, and what you're sort of focusing in on to kind of get you through and also be in service in the way that you do so beautifully. And it's really hard for me to choose who to start with because I am a Libra and we can't make decisions. So anybody just feeling like they want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Just because I know the Libra tendency is strong with us. I'm a Scorpio, but I made it literally by 0 degrees. So I also have Libra rising and moon and cusp. So totally understand how that goes. I think that, it's such a potent time with what we're going through right now. I feel like there's so many challenges that we're all faced with. And this is really sort of showing us what we're made of, why we came here, what our mission is, how we can be of service to others. And this is something where we knew the storm was going to come. I don't know about all of you, but I think we can all relate when, this is something that, at least for me, I felt at a very young age, I knew something huge was going to happen in my lifetime. And I didn't quite know what it looked like. I kind of knew what it felt like, but I always knew there would be a time where we would have to be that calm in the storm and sort of be the guiding force and the pillar of strong energy when things were chaotic and people had a lot of questions. We would have to be the voice of reason and that calming energy. So I think, I've never experienced anything like this in my lifetime, as none of us have really, right? So I think that this is definitely that pinnacle of change that we've been feeling for years and years and years, and we've been talking about for years and years and years. And I think that, this is really showing us what we're made of. And, rather than going into fear, I think it's a really exciting time to just execute what our whole mission is on this planet. Anyway, there's a lot more to talk about on that, but that's my first thought.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What are your thoughts, Sean Stone and Kaya?
We think this is an amazing time, actually. Do you want to start?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, okay. It's interesting, speaking of the time that we've been waiting for, I don't know that we're there yet. I think that this is basically we know with cycles, usually in 20-year cycles, there's major crises, breakdowns, at 10-year intervals too. I mean, the 2008 financial crisis was sort of like a smaller version, but 2001 was the last major event that affected the entire planet, and it set us on a tremendously dark trajectory through the 2000s into the 2010s. Although 2010s was actually, I would say, polarized in a positive way post 2012. 2020 is going to be a wonderful decade, and then thereafter 2020 2030s I'm looking forward to, because of this event. Is in one level, it's the best thing that could possibly have happened. It's not a major war. The death rate that's actually, that we're looking at is so minuscule that if people weren't telling you this was a pandemic, it would look just like a normal flu season, or, there's nothing tremendously that stands out from the physical landscape. We're not looking at the decimation. We are looking at certain things that are dark, like the rollout of the Internet of Things, the dangers of 5G, the overall end game that the elites are playing towards, basically the EMF radiation of the planet, and other such agendas. The vaccine agenda is the dark side, but the positive side is really where it's coming clear to me that we are entering the new Earth phase, and our work, as you're saying, Kara, is just beginning. Like, this is these are the times that we've been waiting for, and we can't even imagine what it's going to look like on the other side of this, because it's only beginning. And it's really just a question of holding the frequency and holding the space as we enter what some people are calling like the 5th dimensional frequency, more and more interdimensional consciousness, interdimensional presence, just integrating those two modalities, 3rd and 5th dimension, essentially into what we are, which is we are star beings that are we're pretending for a long time to be human. And now I think less and less have to pretend, and more can just be our true nature. And I'll let Kaya expand upon what she'd like.
So we ultimately view this as an opportunity for a very deep recalibration that would not have been available otherwise, almost as if we have no choice but to pause and to go inward in this time. So you could say that our modern collective was largely running from themselves. You could argue they were moving so quickly and working so hard and constantly in a state of doing and distracting that they were avoiding an intimate communion with themselves. They were avoiding going inward, facing themselves, facing pain, facing collective trauma, all of these things that we are harboring and not doing that deep work on. This is really an unparalleled time to face self. So we look at this global pause as a sacred pause, as a necessary pause, to really connect inwardly in ways that a lot of people are not able to because they are on those treadmills of survival, or the rat race, if you want to use that metaphor. So it's an opportunity to really reset, recalibrate, and to transform if we can just shift our perspective in how we are looking at this. And it was a necessary pause. And if you look at it planetarily, the earth is finally breathing. The skies are clear. Animals are coming back into the streets. There's deer roaming the streets. There's swans and dolphins in the canals. There's all of this resurgence of nature, of the earth rebalancing herself, of the pollution, the emissions in China being down like something like 40% just from this couple months or 1 month. And there's so much reset happening. And I think it's also an opportunity for people to really reflect on the way of life they were living and seeing all the ways that being in that perpetual treadmill was not serving them. Maybe we can start to reconstitute how we approach work and how we approach collaboration, and realizing we don't have to go into this grind, to this rat race, to this way of living that is so out of balance and out of harmony. And I'm hoping this is a chance to really reset our perspectives as well as our being.
I love that.
Beautifully put. Thank you so much. And Alex, what are your thoughts to add to all this?
Well, to add, I'd like to say earlier with the spaceship navigator, what I was referring to is paying homage to Buckminster Fuller, and his book about spaceship Earth, and how the Earth is a spaceship, and it's all of our responsibility to take control of the trajectory of the spaceship. So I guess talking about some of the darker aspects of this, we bring up shadow work and shadow integration. So I would like to say, I read an article earlier today about the U.S. Appeals Court handed a win to POTUS to resume federal executions. And I'm saying this because of Buckminster Fuller's philosophy of how we have to switch our focus with like the military and weapons to living rate. And I 100% believe that the whole purpose of rebuilding our military was to really defeat the deep state, basically, and that this can usher in a whole new utopian like age. And I really am saying that with, clarity and being rational, because I'm tired of philosophical discussions where it's like, oh, you're just utopian. And it's like, no, I'm being realistic. This is technology. There's resources on the planet. I guess I could say there's even, because of Foster Gamble, there's the dragon family and this idea of the real stewards of the wealth of humanity, and just the whole idea of really being able to deploy all of this for us. But somehow there's spiritual lessons that we're still individually processing, and then a family level processing, and communities and collectively, and somehow this is all a catalyst right now. So that's just kind of my little 2 cents for now. Thank you.
Wonderful 2 cents to add to this. I mean, do you guys feel like, that you are being taken down to a really challenging place, or I know to a certain degree we've all been preparing for this for a while, but I mean, what have you been facing? Not to encourage total transparency here, but have you been surprised at some of the stuff coming up, some of the things being triggered, that you have to consciously be mindful of so that you can divert, the negative energies? Maybe the cigarettes are looking extra good, or the wine, or, or maybe the tempers are flaring because there's a bit of survival in the collective that we're all feeling as empaths. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about how you've been managing some of those low places that these times can also bring out, and what you do in response to it. And we can start with anybody. I guess, Sean, do you want to take that one first, or?
Yeah, I mean, I can just speak to the interesting thing for us has been that, since Kai and I have been together, we've kind of had this life that's that's basically in resonance with what we're experiencing now, which is not to say quarantine. Actually, we've just been in nature. We've been,
Vortex hopping.
Vortex hopping, we call it. We've literally been from, from Acapulco to Bali to what's it called?
Tulum.
No, North Carolina, Tulum, North Carolina,
Asheville.
Asheville, North Carolina, Kauai, Sedona. Now we're in Ojai. It's like we literally just been vortex hopping, and so we've been experiencing this tremendous interface with nature, and just exploring ourselves in this journey. It's been a huge amount of internal work that we've been told to go through the last 2 years particularly, but that was the message, was constantly like, do the internal work, clear your channels, go into your whatever it is, traumas, pains, wounds, journal, get into your issues. And that now makes so much more sense, because you understand that in order to actually hold the frequency of a higher vibration, in order to actually to transcend, you have to lighten your being. And if you're too attached to the old world, the old paradigms, the old beliefs, the old structures, and you're rigid and you're in conflict with it, it's only going to create what? It's going to create tragedy or trauma or chaos in your world. And so people that are saying like their world's falling apart, it's like my heart goes out to them, but they have to recognize that they're attached to a system that was enslaving them. They're attached to beliefs that are false. They're attached to ways of doing things that no longer serve them and or the future, basically, of this planet and all beings. So that's really where I think that we've been called, and we are continuously being called. It's like the challenges that anyone faces, ultimately they have to recognize it is only for this ultimate service of the new earth.
Right.
Really, it's a reframing. It's a reframing of perspective. Life is what you make it. Every situation is what you make it. And what meaning do you want to sort of garner from it? And so the way I look at it as, instead of looking at it like my world is breaking down, it's more of like break down to break through. So there's this beautiful phrase, from catastrophe we birth the new. So a lot of people have written me saying, well, I've been booted out of the matrix, so I've lost my corporate job, but I'm actually looking at this as a powerful opportunity to create something new, to create that business I always wanted to create, or birth an idea, or birth a concept or a project. And there's a lot of opportunity here, believe it or not, if we just have the capacity to see it with different eyes. And also, you hear of a lot of people on their spiritual journey taking these like deep respites or hiatuses, or you'll hear of someone going away for a month or 2 months or a year into nature, into the jungle, into the mountains, as a vital part of their spiritual journey and initiation. And so we can look at this like a global spiritual initiation, where we're all taking that pause and that time and really recalibrating our entire being, our entire existence, and redefining how we want to show up in the world, what we want to create, and even like what our true dharma and service work is when the old systems are crumbling. So it's really an opportunity in disguise.
Yeah, and this is what really raises the vibration and adds that tipping point, or adds that remedy and antidote, to the collective, because it opens the gateways. It doesn't limit us to the mind control, the social engineering. I mean, people like all of you are really willing to push the envelope and really stand empowered in your mission. And even though you might, be facing, your own stuff, you have real tools and techniques that you must be able to just fall back on all the time, just to keep, your flow going. I mean, you do the Sacred Breath Academy, right? So, I mean, breath work is so huge right now, in particular when we're looking at lungs, right? And we're looking at where we're being most affected. So how is that work going currently? Are you taking a little bit of a break? Is that something you guys do every day and meditate, or how's that going?
That's a funny question, because I was just telling Sean, I'm busier than I've ever been in the lockdown. And it's because I've decided to use this opportunity where everyone's staying in and kind of looking for more internal arts as an opportunity to offer weekly live breathwork journeys. So I've been offering them 2, 3, 4 times a week. I just actually finished one before we hopped on this call. So I've been taking people on Zoom journeys, breathwork journeys. And yes, it's important to expand our lung capacity just in general beyond any kind of virus, just in the sense that most people only use about 33% of their lungs capacity. So we're not receiving the full benefits of our lung capacity or of oxygen. So by really starting to engage more diaphragmatic breathing, we're reaping that full benefit of oxygen, which enhances every function of the body. And actually, a lot of people don't know this, but the majority of our energy is derived from oxygen, more so than food or water. So the more deeply we breathe, the more vibrancy, the more energy, the more life force that we have. But the particular breath that I teach is called circular breath, which is similar to holotropic, if you've ever heard of that. And this is a very specific breath technique that allows you to go on a deep internal journey into your being. So it's more of a shamanic journey.
Yeah, just to add one thing to what she's saying is that it's really, as you know, as you guys know, the ancient traditions, especially the Eastern traditions, talking about prana, talking about chi, it has to do with spirit itself. There's always been an understanding that the breath is a connection to soul. And so in the Western schools, we don't really have that training. So oftentimes we don't understand that our connection to soul actually is heightened and empowered by our relationship to our breath. So doing the breath techniques, you know, be it whether you're doing circular breath or you're simply doing breath of fire, for example, right? In certain yogic practices, you are connecting yourself to your breath. You're doing Tai Chi or Qigong, you're connecting yourself to your breath, to your energy body. And that's always been the intention of the spiritual schools, going back to ancient Egypt, going back through all time, has been about connecting to our energy body, which you don't see, right? That invisible force that exists beyond us and continues on after we die. And this is what Western modalities are now going to have to come to terms with in this coming age.
Wow, right. And this is, you know, where the leadership's at. You know, it's inspiring. It's really, you know, connecting. It's helping people to step into the fullness of all that we truly are and what we're made of and what we've really been, kept from. And I just want to introduce my husband here who's joining us as well. This is Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. Love you.
Hey, Kevin.
So thank you so much for sharing that. And so Kara, like how's the healing work going for you, and what sort of have you kind of bumped into things in yourself where it's like, oh, thank God you have these tools and you've had to really work it because
really.
of all it.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, I do healing work, but I also am a massage therapist, and that has been my sort of bread and butter, you know, consistency. So my spa, which is a medical spa in Santa Barbara, was the first to sort of shut down. And I thought, okay, well, you know what? This is great. This gives me an opportunity to actually dive deeper into more of my healing work and counseling work. And, you know, it turns out that it's actually been really positive. I've had people refer me, and basically I've built more clientele. It's great, you know, so I'm not, having said that, I'm also not going to act like this is just, you know, cherries and unicorns either. It's been an adjustment, and that's okay. You know, we have to adjust. I mean, it's definitely, for someone like me that has built my, you know, career on doing just healing work, it's, of course I've taken a financial toll, but at the same time, it's kind of going into this like ease. And, you know, I want to bring this up because I know that there's a lot of watchers, you know, people that are going to be watching this that are like, I don't know, you know, not everything is that easy. So I want to speak for those that are in fear right now, because, you know, as much as I'm diving deeper into my healing practice, I know that there's a lot of people right now that are really having a hard time grounding themselves and centering themselves. And so I feel like we just sort of need to let those people know that it's okay if you're not handling this the best way. It's okay if you're frightened, if you're scared, if you're kind of like, wow, I don't know where to go from here, and I'm just going to kind of stay in my house, and, you know, I don't know what to do, and I'm sort of paralyzed. You know, that's where we come in to just be like, look, this is where we tell them it's okay. I think that there's many of us, I guess I would say that I'm sort of on the fringe, you know, I love that I'm taking a break. I love that I'm able to do this. I love that I'm able to dive into more of my healing work and sort of let go of the massage therapy, which I've sort of been wanting to do for a long time. But, you know, at the same time, I'm also really cognizant of the fact that, like, there's a lot of people that are in so, like, paralyzing fear right now. I have a lot of clients that are in paralyzing fear. So I think for me, this time has been more focusing on them to help them get to a good place. And so I've been doing more work, helping people get to a good place, answering questions, sending links, giving them, you know, videos to watch or whatnot to make them feel better, just to kind of like get them up to speed as far as what's going on. So that's actually what I've been doing more than anything during this whole lockdown, is just educating, informing, constantly keeping in touch with clients and that sort of thing, just to make sure that they're okay. And I think that, like, what I've been taught, you know, as far as my practice goes, it's like I've pretty much already known how to do this. So I guess I'm just putting it to use now more than anything. So yeah.
Yeah, and one person can ripple out to hundreds. Just one shift in one person can affect so many people, and the grids and just the collective energies that we all carry. And that's what's so amazing, that I mean, we're all so powerful, and who we touch. I mean, because a lot of times, you know, people can get an activation and not know what the heck hit them, you know, whether you planted a seed, whether you help connect them with their higher self. I mean, it might take a while. I mean, just like the global shift that we're going through, it's not going to happen overnight, but I almost see it like, you know, being a skipper of the ship of humanity, but there's many of us. And the results are just in the devotion and how we feed the energies every day, and how we take care of ourselves and show up for others. It's huge. I mean, it's a lot of work. So what about you, Alex? What are you finding? Anything that you're bumping into that you're surprised about, you know, that's kind of coming up, because these are like really freaky times, and how are the tools that you work with and everything supporting you and others during this time?
Well, I'd like to say all of us, you know, have somewhat of an entrepreneurial spirit, and really an entrepreneur, it's all about our relationship to risk, or our relationship to the unknown. And so for one, when I relocated to Kauai in 2012, I really had this experience of surrendering to the unknown and being so blessed and so amazed that it's my reaction now to be excited about the unknown. So really, it's all about each individual's relationship with risk, with the unknown. And that's one thing I'd like to say, but I would like to expand on what Kaya said about breath and how most people only use 33% of their lung capacity, because I completely resonate with that, because we're talking about some very common sense things here, but somehow due to what was called the education system, or more of an indoctrination system, this knowledge isn't really, you know, propagated, because there's knowledge that if we breathe properly and we assimilate enough oxygen, disease can't occur in our body because it's alkaline, and it has to also do with our, you know, vibrations. So, but anyways, for a personal thing, I've been working on my Florida real estate license, and basically the Florida Real Estate Commission meets once a month. So I had the meeting delayed last month, and now I've been, you know, a little eager. You know, I'm still human, you know, even though we're frequency beings, but I had a little frustration, you know, because I'm working on some deals and I can't earn a commission or referral fees until I get my license. And so the universe is testing me a little bit, but that's just an additional stream of income on top of my other enterprises that I have going on right now. So if anything, I'm just grateful, and I would like to inspire other people to embrace the unknown, embrace the mystery, because my own personal opinion is that this is all a mystery. And even though I can say it's all a mystery, it doesn't mean I understand it, but I'm comfortable with it being a mystery. And on one hand, I ask everybody watching this right now to also be comfortable with this mystery, because the mystery is basically love as well, you know? So it's kind of where I'm at. But the next Florida Real Estate Commission meeting will be next Tuesday. So I'm going to call them probably tomorrow, the next day, to see if the meeting is still happening, because I was actually going to drive to Orlando for that meeting to be there in person to get my application fully approved, since I've already done my pre-license course and I can't take my final exam until they approve my application. But I don't know, it might be a Zoom meeting like this that ends up happening. But if this is my main concern, I think I'm pretty blessed and grateful right now. And it's just funny, Laura, because when you pause, I just see like a screenshot of you, so it's not really like I know we're talking to the whole group, but it's like
I'm here. I'm back alive. I come back to life. Yeah, sometimes I just turn off the camera in case it's Yeah. So, what'd you say?
No, I like that Kevin's like in this now too. So
Yeah.
doing this together.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like full moon in Libra, and it's all about.
I know we got it. The countdown. It's coming.
No,
Yeah.
she's asking me what I'm going to say, and I'm just saying, well, I just spill the beans. I'm a householder. My dharma is to be a householder. I've always known that, and that's what I do.
He builds houses from scratch with literally no help at all, and these are unbelievable homes. I'm just like, whoa.
But aside from that,
And a
every day,
chef, he's
day to
very
day,
creative
day to
person.
day, there's so much to do. I'm out there fixing a starter for one of the boys on the van.
My boys have
I'm
moved home.
I'm in the other process in the middle of cutting up a 25-pound chuck roast and bagging it up, putting it in the freezer, trying to get all our food supplies together. And my son's got a desk he wants to put together and cut down to fit his bed. I mean, life is just, it's always busy. There's anybody who says they're bored, they just are not creative enough, and they just don't have their focus on what needs to be done.
Yeah, plugging into just the matrix stuff is really just, robbing us of our dreams and creativity a lot of the time. But it's nice to see a lot cracking open and seeing human trafficking being, brought to justice a lot more than we've seen. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Kaya and Sean, when you see the world today and how some people are saying, I don't see mass arrests, or I don't see these changes happening? I mean, what are you seeing in terms of that? I mean, do you feel encouraged? Do you feel like all that's really happening? Do you see this? And it doesn't have to get political or about Q or Trump or anything, but I mean, haven't we come real far, or is that?
I think so. I feel it. It's interesting. Obviously, it's difficult to verify these things, but at the same time, the idea of, yes, we've seen already, and saw it right away, actually, in the Mercury News, talking about hundreds of cartel members that were arrested right at the beginning of this whole quarantine. So my gut is that, yes, there's actively things going on against traffickers, against cartels. The question of, obviously, of Q, in a gut feeling way, it feels like he's almost like a time traveler. I don't know if you guys remember, in 2012, there was this former white hat guy that was posting. Former white hat was saying he was going into the portals and dimensions and time traveling, and it was like pre-2012, and then like he disappeared after that, and people said it was just, it was some guy, I can't remember his name, but I kind of at a gut level believe that this universe is so much more complex and fascinating, as we all have experienced and know. I think that's why we resonate with that. The secret space programs, the idea that there's underground bases, the idea that Antarctica can be a major hub for a lot of these operations. So at that level, I feel like, and I've heard this just from so many different sources, I feel like it is playing out. 2012 was real, and this is like 2012 2.0. Like, this is after a 7-year cycle of quarantine and sifting through energetics and figuring out like where we stand. Like, okay, this is it. That was a test run, and now we're entering like the real thing, and it's a spiritual battle, and each one of us has to align ourselves with what world we want to live in. So there's no coincidence that these things are just coming into mass consciousness right now, and people are spreading fall cabal on the YouTube channels. And
I watched it last night.
Right? I mean, there's no coincidence that that's coming up. Right, that's part of our consciousness, our collective consciousness.
So, if you look at all the Q deltas, future proves past. He's saying that constantly, and then, to the exact day 2 years later, what he said 2 years ago, or he or they, whatever. I think they have looking glass technology. I think they've all got this mapped out, and it's a big chess game, and they're just playing it out.
Right. And the looking glass is an interesting one, because there's something about it not being able to see past a certain point, but and that's where our creative imaginations have to step in and really like co-create what we'd like to see. So what are your thoughts, Kara? Because I know you post a lot and share a lot about,
I do.
you know, keeping up with, all this kind of stuff.
I am 100% on point with what Kai and Sean were saying, and also with what your husband Kevin was saying, that I do believe this is looking glass technology. I do believe that Q is a team that, I don't know if you've seen the Q clock, but the way it works is so intricate and so detailed and so mathematically complicated that it's extraordinarily hard to understand. And I just, you know, I remember when Q first came out, it was like this sort of, well, this guy in his basement and he's just some nerd with somebody, you know, in his mother's basement. It's like, no, like pay attention. There's so much more going on. I think that, you know, for those of us that have followed this for so long, I won't get into it, but, you know, I wasn't on board with Trump and this whole thing my whole life. I actually was a liberal at one time, and I ran away and decided to think for myself. And so when I did a lot of research. I absolutely believe that Q is a part of the Trump team, but I think it's been a collaboration for so many years, if not decades, ever since the Kennedy assassination. I think it's very real. You know, Q is, a lot of people say, oh, it's a cult, it's this. It's like, no, if you pay attention and you do your own research, you realize Q tells you where to look, not what to think. And that's a big thing. When you're given clues as far as like what to research, what to look for, like it's all about sovereignty. And I think that it's, you know, very important that it's like taking our freedoms back. Everything that this movement, if you will, has stood for is something that I've known since I was a kid. So immediately I resonated with it, you know. Yeah.
Just to add to your thing, just briefly, and I want to get Alex's takes. I know Alex is doing a lot of research into this, but you know, my intuition throughout my life has been pretty accurate. You know, going back to 2000, the darkness that was coming. I mean, I'll tell you, I wrote a script about these times, frankly, the end times in the world order, when I was 13, 14 years old, and 2012 was mentioned in it. I didn't even know what the heck 2012 was. I mean, there were a lot of things that I already understood about the nature of the revelations, that without understanding what it was. And when 2001 came, I was sick when Bush won. I literally could feel everything that was coming, that darkness that was going to fall upon us. I did a short film called Singularity, which was about the use of a plague to create a total surveillance state and an AI that would ultimately control it and basically turn us into dehumanized beings. And that was in 2008. So I've seen a lot of these things. When Trump won was the first time in my life that I relaxed. And I said, wow, I don't have to worry about the political landscape anymore. And really the last 3-4 years, all I've been doing is focusing on the spiritual, the artistic, the internal work, because that's all of a sudden, whereas like I knew this is what I'm being called to do, is just work on the internal landscape, work on myself. Don't worry about the political. I don't have to rail anymore. I don't, you know, Obama was, you know, calling for his impeachment, and I just, you know, I saw what these guys were doing, and all of a sudden I felt this tremendous calm that came when Trump won. And it's not because he's like this perfect savior. It's actually nothing to do with that. He can be the devil, as far as I know. It doesn't mean that he's not exactly what we need and what we need now, because there's an old saying in Russian, one of the Russian novels, where it's like, all the devils are here, and when the great devil shows up, basically he's going to put all the other little devils in line.
Good, I like that.
Hey,
I love that.
All the gods, all the devils are here. Everyone is here for the party. We all just have to now do our jobs, because each one of us is going to have a huge role to play in this coming.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because Sean, I had the same, almost identical experience the night that you know, Trump got elected. I was almost certain that it would be Hillary, and you know, and my mom was all for Hillary. You know, my parents are huge Democrats, and I remember just thinking to myself, like, "Oh, Mom, don't worry, you have nothing to worry about at all. Like, your evil witch is gonna win." Back then, I was a Bernie supporter, you know, until I know what I know now. Nevertheless, I remember when this happened, I was like, oh my God. And in that moment, same thing, this calm, it's like something kicked in.
No, I felt that too. Big time. I was having so many weird dreams about Hillary on the Astro. I actually knocked her over the head with a vodka bottle in one of them. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, though.
Hey, Sean, I watched Singularity just the other night. It was great. Loved it.
I'll
Oh,
have
God.
to watch
Good
that.
movie.
But keep going with what you're saying. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Kara.
So that sort of thing happened to me as well. I literally got to a space where I became super clear, and it was like, holy shit, here we go. What's going on? We jumped some crazy timeline. I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden, this immense like sense of peace and trust came over me, and I was like, okay, this is meant to happen. And you know, it was, I don't know if it was an intuition, a knowing, or whatever, but it was very much a trust and a peace and a calm. And now I know what that means, but you know, I think we can all sort of relate to that. The night that Trump was declared president, we're like, you gotta be kidding.
That's when I knew that because I mean, I didn't go out of my way to, all I knew is the cabal needs to go down, and Hillary needs, as long as she doesn't win, we're fine. And just like what Sean said, it's not about Trump so much. It's a chance for us to all take our breath and recalibrate as a human race and know that we're not under this dark power like we would have been if she had one. Yes, it's still there. Yes, we're dealing with Bill Gates. We're dealing with, you know, all these things that are the villain trying to breathe down our neck, the threat. But at the same time, we know how to work with those catalysts. What are your thoughts, Alex, on all this? And just, I know we started going into the queue, and I mean, wherever you want to go with it, no pressure.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. A few weeks ago, one of my friends brought to my attention this guy, Austin Steinberg. And it was just comical because like immediately I didn't want to give it any type of energy at all, because I'm just so mindful of our energy flows where our attention goes. And I'm like, this guy is a Tom DeLonge 2.0. I'm not sure if everyone's looked into the Academy to the Stars, but the ties to John Podesta and the Rockefellers, it's like, you know, it's controlled opposition 101, but it's just, there's so much controlled opposition that it's so interesting to navigate it all. But anyways, I am happy to report that Austin Steinberg has been arrested. And he just has a public defender, so he obviously wasn't Q. He's obviously not some Bitcoin billionaire, you know, and it's a lesson that we need to really be able to use discernment. And it's just another lesson in you know, critical thinking. But with regards to me and Trump, you know, because of my activity being a leader with permaculture and the permaculture movement, I was really reserved with President Trump. And, you know, when he won, I could kind of sense it too, you know, like, okay, this is going to be overall really good, but it's just, there's so much propaganda, you know, like fear mongering, like, oh, his temperament is this and that, and nuclear, you know, war is going to happen. But anyway, so one thing led to another. In 2018, I went out to Kauai for 4 months. And right before I went out, there was a rally, which was a big deal for our now Governor DeSantis, which means a lot to me because he grew up in the same area where I am right now. And he was in naval intelligence, and he's a great patriot. And thank God we didn't get Andrew Gillimore in here, who was just caught 2 weeks ago with a male prostitute in Miami with like meth and such. But yeah, we definitely dodged a bullet there. But anyways, at that, it was Trump DeSantis rally, July 31st, 2018, when Q really went mainstream, you know. So Q started in October 2017 because this is, you know, there's a history. We have almost 4,000 intelligence drops from Q. So that's why basically what the collective consciousness was telling me a month ago was to create a Q course, because my friend's ignorance with Austin, I realized like this is somebody that like knows me and knows how passionate I've been about staying on the pulse of geopolitics, you know, for a while now. And for him to be so misinformed, there's probably others. And I wanted to prevent people from wasting their time, basically. And but anyways, what's weird is there's another person, this guy named Sean Morgan, who's kind of doing this course now. And I'm really happy because I don't want to be rude, but there's more important things that for me to focus on. And so it's really nice to kind of delegate this whole Q course, you know, to him. But anyway, so I just feel this association because where I'm at right now, the Pinellas Peninsula, it's an energy vortex here. I mean, this is a peninsula on a peninsula There's more freshwater springs in Florida than any other place on the planet. And we have Central Command at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. And according to Michael Sala, there's been, drip disclosure of some exotic technology. And I've had my own experiences, like at Honeymoon Island. We weren't on this quarantine. I have a permit. It's the most visited state park in Florida, and I can actually go there when it's closed. So I like going there at night, and I've recorded some videos of spheres and such. And I'm a little skeptical because a few of them, I'm like, wow, this is definitely, you can see sacred geometry inside of these spheres, and recorded it on my iPhone so I can possibly upload that. But anyway, so my whole thing was I was in Kauai, one of my clients out there, because overall, I've been like a consultant since 2012. That's been my niche with permaculture. I just kind of like help people solve problems, basically, like landowners, so whether they have a priority of like their property taxes, I'll go in there and I'll like find a real estate lawyer. I'll like find solutions for them. And it's just something I've been doing. So when I was in Kauai in 2018, one of my client, she's actually like in her 80s. She has really good health. She's an astrologer. She'd probably love to connect with you, Laura. And she gave me a book called Killing the Deep State. And it was really like, something just clicked in me. And when I read that, it just really opened my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then before I came back to Florida, I went to Vegas for this superfood trade show called Supply Side West. And I did a helicopter tour called the Las Vegas Dream. And I just saw the Trump hotel there, and just something shifted in me. And then one thing led to another. This was November 2018. And then it's just been nothing but really what I've been doing is I started studying all of POTUS's speeches at the United Nations. And I was focused obviously on his words, but more importantly, his body language. And this gets into just diplomacy, and deception, detection, things like that. So he passed all of my checks for being, authentic. And yeah, he can be a little rough around the edges, but sometimes he's a fighter and he's fighting for us all. And I really believe that he's in the way of, the deep state and what Foster Gamble calls the global domination agenda, and us in our sovereignty. So it's been really nice. So actually I did my first Q video on my YouTube channel that I uploaded about the same time because I was going to prepare this whole Q course. But I'm sure you've all maybe had experiences like this where you have an idea, but then like it manifests in somebody else, because really we're frequency, we're all one here. And really it's silly, this idea of intellectual patents and things like that, because it's coming from like a disillusioned self perspective, because we're all connected. And Robert David Steele, he's an expert on this, open source intelligence or open source engineering. And really that's what we need to get at here. So Q, it's just silly when people call it a cult or what have you, because for one, unless you're a military intelligence officer, how would you know how one's thinking? And really there's a way to understand is Q is just helping people think. And like our education system has been weaponized against us, that we actually need something like Q to be a catalyst to help us like think properly.
I agree. It's a tough one to bring up, and it comes up a lot. And I know that there's always comments that people maybe don't want to go there. But I mean, the most important thing, which we talked about on the roundtable before, Alex, is the need for us all to get along and have mutual love and respect, and to at least rise above the divide and conquer agendas if we're going to do anything at all, and meet the basic needs of the people. Number one, what are the priorities? I mean, I did a card reading for the mass meditation, and one of the biggest things that stood out is arrogance, the need for people to be right, to the point of losing basic flexibility and humility and the capacity to treat others kindly. Like, we cannot lose that amongst each other, because that to me is like the immune system of the planet right now to overcome these dark agendas. So, yeah, I mean, I don't even know where I'm going with that. I wanted to just point out a few things about the full moon, because we're going to have it here in just a little bit. And so, yeah, Libra is all about balance, harmony, justice, sacred union, balance of the masculine and feminine. This is, I mean, and I know there's an artificial component to the moon, but there's higher octaves of the lunar energy that we can connect into and bypass or override, some of the manipulation and mind control and social engineering. But today, you know, there's a Mars square Uranus. I'm kind of feeling it a little bit ungrounded and a little bit like, this is where the breath work could really help me, because you guys know me, I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. And I know if I was like a lot more in my breath, could just like really ground more. But so Uranus has to do with electrical energy. It has to do with the nervous system. It has to do with connecting to the higher mind, the unified field, our authenticity, and it's a truth frequency. Mars has to do with our ego identity. And so people might be feeling like, kind of like not sure where to put themselves, who they are. There's kind of an identity crisis in the most beautiful way. And then Mercury's making a harmonious aspect to Pluto, which gives us the opportunity to speak on a really deep level, which we're all doing. And it's also making a harmonious aspect with Jupiter, which brings in the higher mind and expansion. And the full moon's going to be taking place at 7:34 Pacific time. And then during the week, there's a lot of really good aspects, particularly with Chiron, the wounded healer, and then Mercury going into Aries. And so when Chiron forms harmonious aspects like it will be with Venus and Mars, which is the masculine and feminine, funny enough, but it's not about gender as much as it's the electromagnetic. It's about the energy circulation of our body and how we integrate polarity. You know, I think we're going to take a big leap in how we handle this sort of big trigger that's bringing up a lot of trauma, but it's also bringing a lot of breakthrough. Those that understand how to work energy are feeling the positive energy. All of you deep down know something amazing is happening. And who better to trust than people that have been working with healing modalities that connect us with divine source and our own truth, right? And this is why it's so important to hear your voices, and you put so much out there already, right? But like, just so grateful that you're with me in this little, you know, broadcast. It's so huge to hear from people who have been working energy to the degree that you guys all have, and for the amount of years. I mean, you said, right, when you were a teenager, Sean, and I know, you know, Kaya, Kara, Alex, I mean, we've all been tuning into something since we were kids, Kevin too. So, you know, I just hope people feel really, really encouraged. You know, we're not just fluffy new agers at all. You know, we're willing to go down the rabbit holes. We're willing to do the shadow work. I hope people are feeling really encouraged by the intuitive sort of like kinesiology, muscle testing feeling of these times. You know, anything you guys want to say about that?
I want to say something. It seems to be a collective cognitive awareness that is flooding humanity right now. And we're exhibiting it right now. All the same things are coming up. All the the questions, the speculations, everything is somewhat of a collective. So the awareness is really flooding humanity. And it's not just us, it's everybody. So
yeah,
we have big things coming up. It's just amazing to me.
Just like a breakthrough in our own personal lives when you have a healing crisis and you need to, I mean, yeah. And so you guys, you know, totally, you know, get this. So I hope it's really reassuring to people, because let's really turn the volume up on what works and not get caught in the entanglements of, you know, all the distress. I mean,
no fear.
Yeah, exactly.
I
No.
love that. I think all of us have so much to give on this, you know, this talk in this world and everything that we're doing. You know, thank you for bringing us together, because honestly, I think this is such an important message to get out there. And I agree with you.
Yeah, it's a little off the cuff. So, you know, my questions I wouldn't say are like, oh my gosh, how profound, but just anything that you guys say is just so important to hear.
I know.
And it just, what'd you say?
I said, I know Kaya has something to offer, but I just wanted to make one little comment right before, but because Alex, what you just told me about Tampa, Florida, I think gave me some insight. You know, energetically, I look at a lot of the things, symbolism. I decode a lot. I just put out a new YouTube video decoding Watchmen in 2010, the film, the sequel to 2001. But I was trying to figure out for years, like Tom Brady, who, if you remember, came to prominence in 2001. He's been the poster boy for, you know, for America, right? He's the sort of the poster boy, all-American athlete, married to the model. He comes to prominence in 2001, right around the time of 9/11, for what came the Patriots, right? And so the Patriots were the prominent team all these years with Brady. Now, where does he decide to defect to when he finally leaves the Patriots? He goes to Tampa Bay. And I'm thinking, what the heck does that mean energetically, symbolically? What are we looking at? And all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, there's a central command in Tampa, and there's a huge hub of energy and activity. Maybe that's what's drawing him there. I don't know.
And the Super Bowl's supposed to be in Tampa next year too.
And there you go. See, follow the energy. Always And
Sorry, my phone almost died, so I
I
had.
have some thoughts to give too.
Yeah, okay, so why don't we all take turns, because everybody's
everyone-
got something important to bring to the table. So, and Kara, you're a little bit cut off right now. I don't know where you went, but so Kaya, you have something. I'm sure you have something, Alex and Kara, when you come back, because you're like freeze framed. It's so funny, kind of. Yeah, what would you like to share with us? And but I don't want to cut off the conversation if you guys still have more to say, but I just kind of want you all to take it away and maybe take turns with what's coming through big time right now.
Yeah, I actually have to hop on to do an interview with Sasha Stone. But
So you have a couple minutes, or should we?
Yeah, if I could just leave everyone with
Oh, please, yes.
a final nugget. Sean put it really well the other day. He said it was as if the machine had to come to a grinding halt for people to finally see clearly again and to finally reconnect with who they are, with each other, with the natural world, and with what exists beyond the mechanistic nature of what this world has been for far too long. And in so many ways, that machine did come to a grinding halt. And opportunities are often disguised. You know, so many have complained about the system, they've fought against the system, they've cried out against the system, and the system has come to a standstill, and they're still complaining. And so it's just fascinating, the human psyche. But I think if we could just reframe this and look at it as an opportunity. And at one point, Alex actually took the words out of my mouth, something I was going to say, and then he actually said it word for word. And it was about deepening into the mystery, about surrendering into the unknown aspects of existence and confronting the unknown, because so many people don't take that pause to confront the unknown, to confront the death realms, the shamanic death realms, the death and rebirth cycles. And it's so important to enter into the void, enter into the mystery, that to enter into the unknown and to relinquish control, because there's an obsession with control, controlling one's environment, controlling their reality, control. If we can just relinquish that and really surrender into that glittering unknown, into that spaciousness of the mystery, I think that is where the answers live. And the final thing I'll say is we have to stop discriminating against good and bad, positive and negative, comfortable and uncomfortable, and rather welcome the totality of what's showing up for us. So someone said clients are faced with fear, anxiety, they're freaking out. Good, let that be. Confront these parts of ourselves, and let's stop avoiding the uncomfortable, because true mastery and true alchemy is actually welcoming in whatever is present within you and transmuting it. But we cannot continue to avoid our pain, our discomfort, our fear, our anxiety. We have to meet it. We have to fully meet it and transform it. So if these things are showing up for people, they were already there in the first place. So this is a chance to really go into them, to really connect with these unmet parts of ourselves, to truly alchemize them, and to truly evolve ourselves. And so everything that's showing up is serving us, and everything that is happening is for us. Life is happening for us, not to us. So can we reap the wisdom that is present in each moment and stop resisting what is? So that is all I'd like to say.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been so wonderful to have you here. And absolutely, you know, cosmic and natural law is encoded with healing. And it's innate, you know, the body finding homeostasis and equilibrium in the face of any kind of injury. That's what it knows how to do. And so thank you so much for reminding that and really illuminating that. And I look forward to connecting again in the future, and just much love, and have a great interview with Sasha. And are you going to stick around, Sean?
Yeah, I got a few more minutes. So
Okay, all right. Bye, Kaya. Much love to you. Thank you so much. And yeah, so if you gotta kind of go, we'll if you want to say a final piece, and then we'll go to Kara, and then Alex. Sorry, Alex, if
I apologize. My phone died. My internet went down. I had to kind of like take myself off internet, reconnect, and plug my phone in. So
oh, nice.
Yeah,
but you can initiate anything, Alex, when it's your turn. You're not always having to, you know, follow the questions. If something, an inspiration comes through, please. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
No, I was just going to say, to sum up basically what's going on, I feel this is an integration of soul as you know, as Kaya mentioned, I had talked about the machine grinding to a halt, and at the mental level, people have become, you know, how do you say, the slaves have grown to love their servitude, right? So everyone is basically at that level was saying, oh my gosh, all of a sudden my income is shut off. Oh my gosh, this is shut down. But recognizing that everyone's income is shut off, everything, you know, globally, like everything is shut off. That means that what now is open are opportunities to saying, okay, if you could do anything you want, and Kara spoke this, you know, what can I deepen into? I can deepen into the practices and the things that I really enjoy, that I want to work on, that nurture me and nourish me in a different way, because the expectations and the pressure is off us in this time. The pressure of being someone that we were supposed to be for social purposes. All of a sudden, when you're in quarantine, you're alone, you're with yourself, you can take off that mask. You can really go into yourself and feel like, wait a minute, what am I really about? What is my soul really interested in? And take this opportunity, take this time to just follow what movies, what books, what writing, poetry, painting, yoga, whatever, what interests me at this moment. This is really insightful. If you can follow that into really what you're about at this moment, you're going to unlocking your soul at this time, because all those external pressures are gone. They're not there right now. Everyone understands that it's a pause. This is a time of forgiveness. This is a time where the stress is off. So that allows you to really expand into your soul and to really work on, what are my curiosities? What am I really here about? What am I really about? And explore that time with yourself. What a wonderful opportunity we have now in this coming month or two, and as long as this pause continues.
Yay, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so awesome to have your presence, and I really appreciate you joining us. Such beautiful wisdom, and happy full moon in Libra, and just all of that. And I look forward to next time.
Yes, we'll do it again.
For
I'll
sure.
talk to you guys soon. Alex, Kara, it was a pleasure.
Thank you, Sean.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Kevin.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so Kara, you've got something to share to kind of as closing thoughts.
As a closing thought, you know, I'm really on board with what all of us have talked about tonight. Honestly, I think that this is a reason why you intuitively knew to put us all together, was that we pretty much come from the same cloth. We have the same feelings, beliefs, and intuition. Just many of us are expressing it in different ways, right? But it's pretty much, we come from the same cloth. So I guess my final thought is, I'm just going to sort of, continue what Sean was saying, which is, let's not worry about this time right now. Let's not stress about it. There's really nothing we can do anyway. This is a forced pause. So let's accept it. Let's realize that we're all in the same boat, and, we're literally at a standstill, and this is giving us the opportunity to really get real with ourselves and be able to really do what we have always wanted to do, or think about, how we can change things or do things or spend more time with our family, whatever it might be. I feel like we're given this pause. In order to do that, I think that we need to take that, we need to take advantage of that and really appreciate that right now. Instead of going into fear, I think we need to go into appreciation. And we don't really have a choice, right? We don't have a choice. we can choose fear, or we can choose love. I say we choose love, and the more we build on that, the more we're going to manifest and create the life that we want. And I do believe with, Kaya, as far as like building, our breath, our strength, staying as healthy as we possibly can, and also being there for our fellow man, checking in on our family, checking in on our friends, making sure they're okay, because a lot of people might not tell you if they're not doing that well. And if they're not, reach out to them, and just be like, hey, I'm here for you. What do you need? Do you want me to help you through a guided meditation? Do you need some healing work? What do you need? And we have to be like that right now. So just being cognizant of our friends that might be going through a harder time than we are. But other than that, I think it's really important just to stay in unity, to realize that this is happening for our highest and best good, and it's not going to last forever. It's just a pause, and let's take advantage of that pause in the highest and best way. So
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kara. I just love you, and I'm just so
You, you know,
us tonight, and I look forward to connecting more. And yes, I will send you this as soon as we close. And yeah, I absolutely love what you've brought through. And Alex, any final thoughts before we close?
I'll do my best to keep it simple, do good, be kind. I would like to say, Kara, that in 2010, I did my Theta Healing practitioner training, so I can really relate with that. And then that facilitated like muscle testing. And overall, this is all about, you know, our intuitive abilities and ESP, but helping other people with their subconscious blocks, but eventually it gets brought to the surface. And so that's powerful. So I commend you for what you do with that healing. And I didn't get to mention that earlier, but I'd like to say that as we work on our empathy and caring, you know, for others, and even caring is just sometimes acknowledging the relevance of people's, you know, fear and stress, even though we might not be personally, you know, feeling that, and to realize this opportunity we have to be a telepathic society. Like, I don't want to get too out there, but that's kind of what happens with empathy, you know, because the more in tune we are with others and feelings, it's a higher level of awareness. And that's been kind of the lesson here on Earth is we've had certain leaders that are just the art. They specialize in the art of deceit. And it's through body language that we can tell like their true intentions, but that's kind of been the mistake. And, you know, for us to all remember, our focus determines our reality. So personally, I'm still going to the parks every day. I'm doing my best to be very mindful with breath. I wasn't able to mention earlier how our relationship to the unknown is similar to our relationship with the breath. If you think about it,
makes sense.
we can really exhale. It's kind of like this surrender of trusting that we will inhale. And then to also, when we're in nature, to really feel the oxygen being created by the plants and to have this higher unity consciousness experience. And so this even gets into some of the permaculture and the idea of like actual trees that we've planted from seed. And then one thing leads to another. We're like meditating near that tree, and not only does that tree maybe produce fruit for us in that form of nutrition, but like Kaya mentioned earlier, one of the highest forms of nutrition is actually oxygen. And so it's really important. So I leave my summary. Like I said, I tried, it's tough, but it's that balance of the unknown, the breath, trying to be just as focused on our breath as possible. Just like maybe we only use 33% lung capacity, there's stagnant energy in our lungs. We have to put our willpower into the exhale. And then once we get out of that meditation, then we focus on our excitement and we just follow our joy. And that's like Bashar, 101. And it's similar to what Sean mentioned earlier. So, but thank you so much, Laura, for coordinating this. And what better time than the full moon and all of us, spending more time indoors and still be able to feel connected with each other and really share inspiration and to all your viewers and subscribers and all of that. So
I'm so
thank
grateful.
you again.
Thank you so much for joining. And, the earth is just abundant and it's filled with medicines, and we have the receptors, we have the, we have this unbelievable connection, and we're in this with the Mother Earth energies that are, we're in this massive paradigm shift, and we just have to hold close to the abundant natural world. And that's what our DNA is linked to. That's what our chakras are linked to. And everything we could possibly need is here. And you're two people that have dedicated your lives to bringing those beautiful truths to the world and working with them every day and exposing people to them every day. And I couldn't have asked for, greater company. And, and I could just like have the longest ending.
Well, I love you. Know how much I love you. I've known you for 10 years. You've been one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And, we have a very tight soul sister connection. And, thank you for bringing me on. And again, everything that you're doing is so amazing. And then also bringing on other amazing people and exposing them to the world. You have a platform and you can do that. And I think that's incredible. So thank you for doing that for all of us. Really. Thank you for having our back and continuously, being a pillar of change and of, unconditional love for truly what your mission is, which is wanting everyone to win. Everyone. We want everyone. We want to go through ascension. We all want to win. We want to get to the other side. We want to love each other. We want to get past the darkness and get into like really that hardcore light. And you do that. So I appreciate you immensely. I don't have to tell you that.
Yes.
But,
oh my gosh, we all share this in common though. It's just so surreal to share these missions that are so complementary, and it's huge. So you guys are the best, and I really appreciate your words. And I do get into my breath when I'm not speaking, but I do get really excited when I speak. But the gratitude piece is huge. And yeah, like relaxation techniques are everything. And the thing is, we don't have to solve this. We can allow it. It's encoded in these universal forces. And so be reassured, everybody. We totally got this, and we're here for you. And none of us are alone.
You're amazing as well. I love that I just met both you and Sean and Kira on this podcast. I'm very excited to know you more. So
I know, isn't that cool? I was kind of like, oh, and Kara's coming, and Alex and Sean going to be here. It's all just very spontaneous, and it's so perfect. Okay, well, much love, you guys. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.